Good afternoon. Sanibona. Ninjani? Nicholo phansi. Nimbonile umama uEndru khona? Umama uEndru is in the room. So Sanibona. Ninjani? Okay, so we are going to start our program today. We are going to hear about life on Madlala Street, ne? Banoyaziyo le ncwadi? Yayingekabikho ngexesha leni. It was not there. When they were at school, the minister, the book was not there. Yabona abantu bencwadi siyayazi le ncwadi ne? Thank you very much. So it's about like a program yethu, because we all know this, the comprehensive sexuality education workbook. So we are going to start with our program. I'm going to tell you about my visitors as we go. But simbonile uMinister, simbiza umama uEndru. Minister uzoguga. Sikubiza mama uEndru. Ubani ohlele ecango wakhe siyamazi ubani ohlele ecango koMinister? Ubani? Mama Regina. That is our Deputy Minister, Dr. Regina Mhaule. Next to her, ndiniphathele indwendwe ke namhlanje, all the way from Washington. Andiva. Umamu Maria is coming from Washington. She's Maria Priest Detarake. She's USAID Deputy Administrator. Simbiza UDDA. Next to Umamu Maria, USAID Mission Director in Southern Africa, Utatu Endi Karas. There's two important people that I want to introduce as well. A very important person when we want to go to the US. Our CG, the Consular General. We go to his office. He's the one that decides if we can go to US or not. He stamps our passports. Andy, you are welcome. And then last but not least, guys, before I lose my job, I call him my madam. Dr. Granville Whittle, he is the DDG in our branch. He's my boss. The other people that I've got as dignitaries here today with us are not visitors. They are our parents in this school. Principal Ubi. Principal kuzofuneka sibagxothe bonke apha esikolweni. Niqhoba ngolo hlobo for principal? Yes. Our principal, Mr. Ngoveni. The last person that I would like to introduce to you is our district director. District director, where are you? Umamtsebo. Upika nene tata we school governing body. Nankia. Thank you very much. Minister, before ndikhohlwe, umuntu obalulekileyo apha esimshile singakhange simrecognize, utata uCouncillor. Tata uCouncillor wombutho kaKhongolose. Siyakubulisa. Utata ukansila nguye ogadileyo ineeds zabahlali. Siyayazi nathi xa sizi-learners zaseHitekani, xa sinengxaki kungekho umuntu osimamelayo, singakwazi uya kutata ukansila uzasisotela iingxaki zethu. Without wasting time, colleagues, let's start with our program. I am going to ask Ms. Tsepo Siate, the District Director, to come on stage and welcome us.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, my darling children. This is how we're greeted all the time when you come into any class in Hitekani. The learners just passionately, welcome you, recognize your presence, and we are really humbled by being here. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored and humbled by the opportunity given to me to welcome all these wonderful guests that are here. Let me start off by saying to Umamu Inji, you are most welcome. Deputy Minister, you are most welcome. But let me also begin to say, I'm speaking on behalf of quite a number of people. Of the province itself, I'm honored to be the one who's welcoming you. But of course, of the governing body of Itekane, Nyakenza, thank you very much for allowing me to be the one that welcomes everybody, because this is your yard. And we always say, when the governing body has welcomed us, you can relax. Know that the dogs in the house won't be set loose on you. So, Baba, thank you very, very much. Principal, thank you so much for welcoming us in. And Babu Councillor, we thank you. We drove through your streets. We know we are very welcome. And we know we will live well. So, Babu Councillor, thank you very much for this honor. Let me begin to say, Mam Angie, we are blessed to have you. You are a minister who's got her boots on the ground. You are always where it matters most. You are in the classrooms with us. You go through books, curriculum like us. You listen to parents. You listen to learners. And for that, we just want to humbly say, you have come at such a time as this, especially the last 2 years, which were very difficult. You sounded like a lone voice. Some people even thought, how can you? But when we celebrate the grade 12 results, people forget what you went through. Deputy Minister, you are most welcome. Thank you for being the great support to our minister, and we know you are of one mind with our minister. I also wish to humbly welcome and recognize Ms. Maria Price Detheraj, pardon me for my pronunciation, the DDA, as they have mentioned. We want to welcome you, recognize your presence, together with, of course, our mission director, Mr. Andy Karas, and the whole team. Thank you so much. You are on fertile soil, on loving soil. The sun is already shining and smiling at you. This is who we are as people too in South Africa. Let me also recognize a number of individuals that are here. We are aware then when USAID comes in and embraces our people, there are other partners as well who join hands with you. Thank you for walking the ground. Thank you for loving us. And thank you for enriching us. And today you will see your good work. For I know at all times, because of who Christ is in my life, to say the works of your hands will forever be rewarded, will forever be celebrated, because the children are written in your hearts. That's who we are in Johannesburg Central. And I just want to thank you for the love. We want to also acknowledge all those who are from the national office, And I know that they are being led by you, DDG. So thank you. And I think I also saw my DDG at National. I saw her sitting there, you know. Yes, I did see you. Thank you so much. You are most welcome. And of course, we've got a lot of officials from head office, our provincial team, that are very supportive of us. You are most welcome. And thank you, Chairperson. Let me not take more of your time. And do pardon me if I left your name out, but do know that today is your day too. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mamutsepo. Sikhawulezile ke ndizawubiza uMama Regina. Deputy Minister Dr. Regina Mahaule is going to give us some opening remarks and tell us why we are here today. DM.
Director, thank you so much for this opportunity that you are giving to me. Greetings to you. Greetings to our Minister, Honorable Angelina Motshekga, affectionately known as Mama Angie. We are in Gauteng, and I was to greet the MEC if the MEC was here, but I greet the leadership, administrative leadership of Gauteng, because you are here, you are representing your minister. That includes you, District Director. Greetings to the USAID Mission Director, Mr. Karas, and the entire delegation. Would say the delegation is led by you, but we are so fortunate that the CG is here also. Thank you very much for humbling yourself to come down to our area, Soweto. Greetings also to our Honorable Councillor, Lakensavan Vatikoler. Abangaku votela bakuyilaba councillor wayina lwi and uba khoma kahle yeah ubavakatshela nale makaya utiva ndawo ya wena swaku kuna vanhu vangani and va nga suki vokweni ra wena and make sure that vanhu voterile lava van rhanda and va rhanda na organization ya wena so kula u swi tiva sweswo so thank you so much honorable councillor. Want to greet the SGP. SGP, it's a queen SGP. Ile, Chairperson Equin. Chairperson, greetings to you. Lokita shikolweni phela itaka we. Sekula kupfula we gede ingena and yamukeriwa hi wena. So thank you so much. And members of the SGP as well as other parents that who decided to be here today. Principal and the SMT members, the teachers, the non-teaching staff, also the community at the back. Osabasukile abatele landa kula mara cancer swaku ba bona namhla swaku hayi tiko ra hina ri katekile America ishikile itela eka xikolo lexa nkoka. Our president ativa swaku I vota la lembe ni rembe loko iri elections president ita la ata vota ka xikolo lexi minister so xikolo lexi xa rhandzeka na mina xi rhandza I'm so ni fila ni le kaya namuntlha this is our school I'm home so thank you very much ladies and gentlemen members of the media all of us who are here today. It's a great, to me, I take it as a privilege and honor to be part of this prestigious event, attended by delegates of such a high caliber from various organizations. The launch of the comprehensive sexuality education radio lessons focusing on gender-based violence and bullying is timely as it aligns with the signing of 3 anti-gender based violence bills by the president to afford victims of gender-based violence more protection. These are the Criminal Law, Sexual Offenses and Related Matters Amendment Bill, the Criminal and Related Matters Amendment Bill, and the Domestic Violence Amendment Bill. We are launching lessons that were carefully selected with the aim of addressing gender-based violence that peaked during the hard lockdown period. I'm proud to say that we are in alignment with the country's agenda of the lessons, as the lessons will help to amplify the gender-based violence prevention messages. The sector is extremely grateful to USAID for the collaboration and partnership which started in 2015 with the development of comprehensive sexuality education scripted lesson plans. The project has trained life skills and life orientation educators to implement the comprehensive sexuality education through the curriculum, thus providing our children and adolescents with the knowledge and skills to make informed decisions about their sexuality, their reproductive health, sexually transmitted infections, and many more. Minister, you remember many people were very hard on you that you are teaching sex education. They even came up with their own lesson plans, which minister has never seen. They say, yeah, this is what basic education says we must teach. This is what ANG says they must teach. Our teachers must teach. And everything negative is ANG who said that. But when you come to what ANG is doing, is contrary to what people are doing. So vanhu va rhandza leswaku loko swilo swi nga fambi kahle va ku ya hi ANG. Hi ANG onge ANG wa koho va tirha na ye le purasini or kwini a ni tivi kahle mara va tlanga na ye bolo because loko i tiva swa ku i kurile i ta mu xixima i ku man age mara sweswo u kuma ene vanhu lavakulu lava ringana na man age va ku ya age hambi ka nkarhi luya a ku vana a va tlhelele swikolweni va ku va ta famba va dyondza le ka age a ya va lavi la ka hina a va ye le ka age so wa hlamala swa ku what is this. So Minister, thank you very much, as the program director has thanked you for the good work that you are doing for the people and the citizens of this country. It is encouraging to see the physical and virtual support from our sister departments, the Department of Health, Social Development, Women, Youth and Persons with Disability, Justice, the South African Police Services, development partners, and civil society. These lessons need to be complemented by health and social services delivery programs that are based in schools, families, and communities. Colleagues, we need to work together in implementing social protection interventions so that our young people do not fall victims of sexual exploitation, violence, and abuse. Now that we are scaling up our interventions and releasing these radio lessons, we need to strengthen our response to reported cases so that the youngsters can receive the necessary care and support. We also are extremely honored to have the USAID Deputy Assistant Administrator, Ms. Maria Price, and the USAID South Africa Mission Director. No, I wanted to read her surname in English, Minister. I wanted to say Titharage because that's how I see it in English. But it says Titharage, Maria Titharage. And the USAID South Africa Mission Director, Mr. Andy Karas, and the CG himself in this auspicious occasion. It gives me a great pleasure that the program has a learner that will reflect on the impact of comprehensive sexuality education because both Ms. Titaraje and Mr. Karas will be able to bear witness to the fruits of PEPFAR USAID investment in the education sector in South Africa. With that, I would like to thank the principal, Walekaya, Mr. Ngobeni, together with the SMT, SGP staff at Itekani Primary School and the entire school community for hosting us. With these words, now it's me, Deputy Minister of Basic Education. I officially declare this event open. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister. Just to give a brief testimony to the resilience of the minister. Whilst everybody was throwing stones at the Department of Basic Education when we introduced CSE, Minister, you kept on telling us that we have to go forward and we have to continue. So between 2015, Minister, and 2021, we've already trained or taken through the CSE lessons more than 1.1 million learners. Thank you very much. We've trained LO educators, more than 10,000 LO educators. School governing bodies, we've orientated more than 2,600. We've trained more than 3,000 LO heads of departments. And we've also orientated, Minister, more than 18,000 parents.
18,000 parents. Tibelen Maboko. No, I'm standing again, Minister. I did not acknowledge our DDG. This man is so humble that you can't even see that he is the DDG. He gives his people space to exploit their potential. Thank you so much, DDG. You are a great man. You are a developer. You are an educator. We see with your people that you work with. Thank you.
Thank you very much, DM. So, Minister, just a message of support from a classroom experience of CSE. We thought today we'll bring an educator and a learner. So, Mr. No.
Chairperson of the session, thank you so much for the opportunity. Allow me to greet Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, our partners from USAID and EDC, our district director, and all the officials from the Department of Basic Education, both from national and from the level of the province as well as the district. My name is Noel Dluwayo, a life orientation educator for the grade 7s. And I'm just here to share a little bit about my experiences. And of course, as I stand here, I'm speaking on behalf of all the educators in the school, our school management team, and in particular, the life skills and the life orientation educators. I find the subject to be very, very interesting. And, you know, when I started teaching the subject, I was asking myself, also as a pastor, to say there are certain topics there and perhaps a bit controversial. But as I began to teach the subject and I was trained, and I found this subject to be very much interesting. And yes, Deputy Minister, a lot of people will say that the subject is about sex and all those things, but there's a whole range of other topics that are very critical and very important for the education and the development of our kids that we deal with in this subject. It equips them with critical skills in society that will enable them to cope when they go out there and to handle some of the issues and challenges that they face on a daily basis. You know as well as I do that we live in a society that is very ill, a society that is characterized by gender-based violence, characterized by all forms of abuse, and a society in which the rate of crime is very high. So in this particular subject, we equip them and we give them knowledge and skills that will enable them to how to deal with these challenges and know how to respond to them. I'll give you an example of, say, for example, one story, maybe to give this scenario. Cindy's mom has a boyfriend, and they stay together. She stays with her mom and her boyfriend. The boyfriend very often gets drunk, and when he's drunk, he becomes very violent, and sometimes he attacks everybody in the house. Now, Cindy is in that situation. Now, how does she handle this situation? How does she handle this risky situation? And how does she ensure that she is safe in that kind of environment? And should she feel threatened, where does she go for help? And what are the numbers that she can call if she needs help? You know, you talk of the SAPS, the child line, and all those things. So these are some of the things that we deal with. And yes, there are times when you handle those, very sensitive topics. I remember last week I was teaching in one of my classes. We're dealing with values and value statements. So yes, the discussion sometimes gets a bit hot. And one of the learners asked a question which, as a pastor, before you can respond to the question, you say, hey, you say a silent prayer and say, Lord, help me. How do I answer this one? So there was one such question that I had to deal with, and then I had to use wisdom to answer it. And as I was trying to clarify, one of the learners said, sir, you're a pastor. You shouldn't say that. So I'm just giving you an example of some of the things that we deal with. So want to appreciate and say this is very important, and then it helps a lot in terms of educating our learners and giving them skills that will help them later in life. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone. My name is Amira Jauke and I'm in grade 7. Let me start by greeting our Honorable Minister of Basic Education, Ms. Angie Motshekga, our Honorable Deputy Minister, our Honorable MEC, Mr. Yusufi, our partners USAID and EDC, our District Director and all the officials from the education sector, our lovely principal, Mr. V. Ngoveni, all my teachers, all protocol observed. I am going to talk about how LO is helping us as children and its importance in life. I feel excited when it is LO period. Even though we learn it for an hour, I feel like we could learn it for 2 hours because I really like my OO teacher because he is kind, patient, and understanding. OO has helped me at achieving my goals, learned about development happening in my body, as well as to respect myself and others at all times. It helped me to set smart goals and make good choices in life. There are things that we have learned in LO that I cannot openly discuss with my parents, but easy for me to discuss with my teacher. We have learned a lot about development happening in my body, as well as to respect myself and others at all times. Thank you.
Can the following people stand up? Miss Matata Matibane. Where's Matata? Miss Viwe Mchonji. Mr. Muzindlovu. Mr. Ngosana Mnisi. Mr. Anthony Meyers. Minister, this is the team that has made the implementation of comprehensive sexuality education in Gauteng possible. Viwe from the EDC as a chief of party, Matata Matibane from USAID, Ubabungosana siyamharasa siyamkhwaza, uBhutmuzi sithuma yena from the department ukuthi Bhutmuzi abobakhangela benza ntoni ngoku. Thank you very much, colleagues, for the effort you've put. Branch S really thanks you for the support, for the vision, and making our policy a reality towards implementation. From what we've heard from Uticha Dloayo and Amira, we really thank you for the efforts. Thanks, colleagues. DM, the work around gender-based violence prevention in schools is led by my sister, Patricia, sitting next to my madam. So, Neboni family, Patricia is my sister. She's the chief director responsible for social cohesion in schools, and she leads the gender-based violence prevention programs, including the anti-bullying. But because our work starts in the classroom, in the curriculum, so it's in the CSE. So she can't do the anti-bullying without me. I can't implement that scripted lesson plan 4.5 lesson without her. So thank you, Patricia, for holding hands with us and being a great team to make sure that Branch S always looks good. We are getting to, we've warmed up most. Now we are getting to the real meat of it. Life on Madlala Street, that the US government is going to hand over to the minister today. So the person that is going to do the handover to the minister is going to be introduced by Mr. Andy Karas, the USAID mission director, is going to introduce us who will be giving us the lessons. Mr. Andy?
Thank you very much for the kind introduction. It's a real joy to be here today. I wanted to thank also Amira, our 7th grader, who really started us off with some very inspiring words. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Amira. Honorable Minister of Basic Education, Ms. Angie Mocheka, Dr. Regina Mall, Deputy Minister of Basic Education, Honorable DDG, National Education Department team, my friend and colleague, Consul General Vincent Spera of the U.S. Mission here in South Africa, the Provincial Education team, District Education team, our USAID partners, EDC, and so many, and certainly above all, the amazing young people lighting up this event, our learners. It's indeed a great pleasure to be here today, a real joy, I can say personally, professionally. It's been a little bit too long since we've been out visiting communities, as we know, because of some very significant, if historic, challenges in our world. But today, we gather with hope, and we gather with renewal, and it's really special to be doing so with our leaders of tomorrow, with the young people sitting before me here today. I want to really thank the Honorable Minister, the Deputy Minister. So many kind words have been said about your courage, your leadership, and we at USAID want to thank you for your partnership. We stand with you side by side, supporting you in your leadership, your bold leadership and vision. Thank you. I really do want to thank again also the learners. I'm also a father of 2, and when I stand here, I think back to those days in my kids' school, looking out with great pride and great hope on the next generation that will lead this country, that will indeed be the global leaders of tomorrow. So I just take great joy being here with the great young people. But today it's my pleasure, a very special pleasure, to introduce another great leader, a leader of the agency I serve, the United States Agency for International Development, and a real privilege to introduce USAID's Deputy Assistant Administrator, Maria Price Dethridge. Ms. Dethridge arrived in South Africa just a few days ago from Washington, D.C. This is her second visit to this amazing country of South Africa. The first was back in 2014. But I think perhaps on that occasion, she didn't have the opportunity, it's brief, I think, to make it to Soweto. You know, when you come to South Africa and as an American, people all over the world, you want to come to Soweto because it's a very historic area that's truly inspired not only this country, but the world. It's the place we know a lot about. A word on USAID. As you know, we have programs in South Africa promoting, indeed, work to combat HIV/AIDS and TB, care, prevention, treatment, strengthening as well small business work in the economic development space, creating employment opportunities so important, we know, for the youth, improving job skills, promoting basic education, promoting the environment, supporting democracy and good governance, and indeed, and so importantly, combating gender-based violence. Additionally, in these last 2 years, the US government has worked with the government of South Africa to end COVID-19 through direct assistance, as well as the donation of approximately 7.9 million vaccines. Ms. Dethridge has had a wide range of leadership positions in the US government as a senior executive in our public service in the United States. Today, we're so fortunate, I'm so fortunate, our USAID team is so fortunate that Ms. Dethridge is serving as the Deputy Assistant Administrator for our Africa Bureau, with purview over so much of the continent and indeed here in South Africa and the sub-region, where she leads in strategic decisions on America's foreign assistance, foreign policy in Africa. Prior to joining USAID, Ms. Dethridge was awarded the 2013 International Women's Day Award for her local and her international work in combating global poverty. In addition to being a public servant, she considers herself, and I know she is, a global citizen, a global volunteer, and a social entrepreneur. In a 2016 interview that I believe was held in the White House, she summed up her personal thoughts, reflections on public service by saying, and I'll quote, "Being a public servant means being able to give the best of me to ensure the best of others all across the globe. For me, it's that simple," and a very powerful statement indeed. Please join me all in welcoming the USAID Deputy Assistant Administrator for Africa, Maria Price Dethridge. Thank you.
Is this better? Yes. Right. So first I need to say to Amira, outstanding. Can we give her another hand? Outstanding. And to the pastor, I will say, as a PK, and in America, a PK is a preacher's kid, I can relate. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Minister of Basic Education, Ms. Angie Mocheka, Dr. Rajana Mall, Deputy Minister of Basic Education, as well as the National Education Department team, my U.S. government colleagues, including USAID Mission Director Andy Karras, and notice the care in his name, Andy Karras, and our Consul General, Vincent Spera, the provincial education team, the district education team, our USAID partner, the Education Development Center, and most importantly, the learners, our future leaders that are gathered here as we celebrate this auspicious occasion. And with learners, our future leaders, we would not be here today. All protocols observed. I am very pleased to be here today to join this exciting event in sunny, mostly sunny South Africa. And I'm here on a quick visit, so it's really thrilling when I get a chance to not only engage with our government partners and our implementing partners, but also the learners and the communities who are set to benefit from this amazing, powerful work. So, first, to you, I congratulate you. I congratulate you and your team on the 12 and on the grade 12 results for the class of 2021. My team has told me that my team has told me that the excellent outcomes of the class of 2021 has achieved a super milestone. And that was done with you and your team playing a really critical role. So, congratulations to you. And in that same vein, I would like to also congratulate MEC Lesufe and the Hauteng, the whole team, for achieving the second, and I'm going to take my time to say this so that you can hear me, for achieving the second highest pass rate in the country. The second highest pass rate in the country. I commend you all and the class of 2021 on these achievements that were made despite the very real impact of 2019 and how it has tremendously shifted us. Let me just see the students for a second. Students, can you shift with me? Shift. So how it is, when I say shift, you're going to do that with me? So how COVID-19 has shifted us. All right, now the hardship, how it has shifted us. Yes, shifted us. And despite how that has shifted us over the past 2 years, and despite how it's created numerous challenges in addition to that, already facing the challenges in the education system, we were able to see these tremendous successes. Now, we've all had and we continue to struggle due to COVID-19, particularly in the education of our young people. And it's impressive to me to come here and see one of many examples of how South Africa is reaching young people in ingenious ways. And I say this as a collaborative and supportive partner in this journey. USAID supports the implementation of the National Policy on HIV, STIs, and TB for learners, educators, school support staff, and officials in all primary and secondary schools in the basic education sector. This includes the expansion of Comprehensive Sexuality Education, CSE, as part of the United States President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief Program, that's PEPFAR, funded by our Dreams Initiative, which hopes to support adolescent girls and young women become determined. And I'll learn this, I want you to repeat after me with this: determined, resilient, empowered, AIDS free, mentored, and safe. Yes, yes, thank you. As part of the Dreams program, our focus is on HIV prevention, violence prevention, on prevention of learner pregnancy, and promoting healthy lifestyles among youth in school. Additionally, supporting learners in school has had an added advantage of reaching both girls and boys. USAID's support is focused on schools in 7 of South Africa's provinces, in 30 education districts, and our support to the rollout and the implementation of the Comprehensive Sexuality Education, or CSE, scripted lesson plans has been focused on grades 4 through 12. And to date, through USAID's key implementing partner, the Education Development Center, we have, together with the Department of Basic Education, been able to, and I think these statistics are worth repeating, we have been collectively, in partnership, together, been able to train and reach more than 10,000 educators, orientate more than 3,000 members of the school management teams, orientate more than 3,000 life orientation heads of departments, orientate more than 3,000 members of school governing bodies, orientate more than 17,000 parents and guardians, reaching more than 1.1 million learners, both boys and girls, have worked with more than 3,000 schools throughout South Africa. I think that's worthy of an applause to all of you. And I'm sure we can all agree this is a massive accomplishment. And we are very excited to continue to get to work with DBE as we gradually increase our support, collaborating to improve local ownership of partners and programs through the government to government implementation mechanism. The Education Development Center has also worked hard to identify innovative opportunities to maintain contact with learners and their families, especially during these last 2 years, and establish alternative engagement platforms to support our children at risk. And one of these innovations, in close consultation with the DBE, is the adaptation of life orientation, CSE, scripted lesson plans for broadcasts on radio to specifically address the prevention and management of gender-based violence in schools, all in alignment with DBE policies and implementation guidelines for working in schools. And as part of the support, we're here to collaborate and celebrate this launch, this release, and this handover of these 11 radio lessons that we hope will provide an opportunity for the department to work with other partners to amplify the much needed messaging on prevention of gender-based violence, prevention of bullying, prevention of any forms of abuse. And ultimately, we hope teach learners like you here today the essential skills needed to avoid risky behavior. And so with that, I pledge our ongoing support, and officially hand over the 11 lessons to you, noting that we look forward to our continued collaboration with the department on more innovative and exciting ways to ensure safer, healthier tomorrow for all South Africans. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Maria. Minister, in the box that you've just received, there's the 11 lessons of life on Madlala Street. They were recorded here in a studio in Johannesburg, and the actors are our educators and our learners. Do you want to hear? Just a short sneak preview. I'm not going to play it because you don't seem excited. So I'm going to give you, just to listen, a short segment of lesson 4.5. That is the grade 4 lesson on bullying. Anne, do you want to hear? DJ.
Good day, and welcome back to another episode of Life on Madlala Street. Today's episode is on bullying.
Andile, wake up! You are going to be late. Why are you still sleeping at this time?
I'm scared of going to school. The older boys are mocking and teasing me about my body weight. They're calling me names in front of other children, and this hurts so much.
I'm sorry, my baby. Some kids don't understand how hurtful name calling can be, especially when done in front of others. That is a form of emotional bullying. You should report to the class teacher, and they will know how to deal with such cases, right, my baby? Now go to shower and have some breakfast.
Thank you, Coco. I'll get ready to go to school.
Andile walks into the classroom and greets his classmates. The bell rings and the lesson starts.
Please, everyone, take your seats and calm down. Remember in our previous lessons on dealing with conflict and emotions, we looked at examples of conflict situations and the strategies to avoid conflict. We also learned about different kinds of emotions and appropriate ways to express our own emotions. I have put 4 statements behind 4 chairs in the room today. Look behind your chairs and raise your hand if you have found a statement. There are 4 hands. Andile, read me your statement, please.
Words can be used to hurt others.
The statement is true, Andile. We should be careful of what we say to others. Let's hear from Saint.
Our actions towards others can be as harmful as words.
Yes, Saint. What we do to others can be harmful. Let's do to others what can be done to us. Lindy?
Show kindness in what you say and do to others.
True, Lindy. We must be mindful of how we talk and behave around others. Let's have the last one from Pearl.
Put yourself in the shoes of others before saying anything harmful or hurtful.
Yes. Think before you say or do something to others. What do all 4 statements refer to? Andile?
Consider what you say or do that can hurt someone's feelings or put them down.
That's right, Andile. Words and actions can be used to bully others. Now, let us find out if we all think of bullying in the same way. What is bullying?
I know. Words can hurt.
Okay. Okay, quiet class. Let's hear from you, Andile.
Bullying is when the older learners harass the young ones.
Another one? Yes, Saint.
Bullying is when people laugh at you and say hurtful things like you're ugly.
The last one, Lindy?
Bullying is when older girls beat you up if you refuse to do what they force you to do, like carrying their school bags.
Well done for the correct answers. There are 5 kinds of bullying. Look at this picture on flashcard 1. There is kicking and punching, right? This is physical bullying. Then there is verbal bullying. Look at this picture on flashcard 2. Like when you are called names like ugly. That is verbal bullying. Now, look at flashcard 3. This is emotional bullying, when people mock and tease you. In verbal bullying, they make fun of how you look. In emotional bullying, they make fun of who you are. That's emotional bullying. Then there are 2 more which I didn't hear being mentioned. The 4th one is cyberbullying, where people use cell phones to hurt and insult someone. That is a form of cyberbullying. It can be verbal or emotional, but it is happening online and using technology. That is why it is called cyberbullying. And the 5th type of bullying is sexual harassment, where one makes sexual suggestions and insults.
Teacher, why do so many older learners bully us?
Bullies feel powerful when they're picking on someone who is either physically smaller than them or different. They often feel bad about themselves and jealous of the people they're bullying because they themselves are being bullied. They feel angry, frustrated, and they go about expressing those feelings by hurting others. How do you think the victims of bullying feel?
They feel hated, unwanted, and humiliated, teacher.
That's correct, Saint. They often feel not loved at all. Let's hear from you, Lindy.
They feel angry, teacher, and wish they had the power to fight back.
Now, how do you think bullies feel? Do you think bullies may have feelings about what they are doing?
I think they feel powerful and happy because they don't stop. Even if you cry, they just laugh at you.
Most people think what you said is true, but actually the opposite is true. It could be that they don't think about the emotions they are really causing someone else to feel. Bullying is a form of violence and occurs when one person has more power than the other person has. A bully or group of bullies will try to upset others repeatedly by saying or doing nasty or hurtful things. We agreed on that already. I want you to understand that both the bully and the person being bullied need help. Both are victims. That means that the person being bullied is a victim of bullying. The bully, though, is also a victim of something within himself or herself that makes them bully others. That, though, should not be a reason why someone is bullying someone else. It could be that they were being bullied themselves before. However, bullies are acting like that because they are feeling very sad and powerless inside. What they are doing is wrong, but they are doing it because others are bullying them. They need our help, just like the victims do.
Teacher, how then do we help bullies to make them understand what they do and help them change?
Bullying is unacceptable and so must be stopped. We should call out those who bully others and say it is unacceptable. But also standing by when a bully is bullying someone else is equally unacceptable. It is called bystanding. Do not be a bystander by watching it happen to someone else.
And we are the first ones to listen to that segment. And we are live on air in Tanzania FM, Giyani FM, Jozi FM, Zibonele FM, and Emalahleni FM. Without wasting time, I'm going to call the Minister of the Department of Basic Education, Umamu Enji Mushekha. She doesn't need any introductions. She does. Okay.
up in Soweto, got educated in Soweto, became a teacher in Soweto, in Orlando High. She became a lecturer in Soweto College of Education. She also became a lecturer at Wits University. So she's highly educated. Yes, she holds a master's degree, which is the highest degree, of course, because the PhD is something else, but the highest in terms of academic is master's degree. That's the degree that she holds. So in 1994, after we have ushered in our democracy, the first minister of education in South Africa was Ubaba Pengu, Usibusiso Pengu, owanikezwa a full term by the then president, Nelson Mandela. When we went for the second elections in 1999, a new minister of education was Ubabukada Asmal, who took out the whole term to 2004. The president was President Mbeki. In 2004 to 2009, it was Umamunaledi Pando, the education minister under President Mbeki and President Kgalema Motlanthe. Then in 2009, when President Zuma was president of the Republic of South Africa, Mrs. Angelina Motshekga became the Minister of Basic Education from 2009 until 2014. Yes. In 2014, still under the leadership of President Zuma, Minister Motshekga was appointed Minister of Basic Education until 2019. In 2019, under the presidency of Babu Cyril Ramaphosa, Minister Angelina Motshekga became Minister of Basic Education. 3 terms. It shows that she's a leader. All the presidents see that this is a leader who can lead the sector. Minister Motshekga, over to you, ma.
Chairperson, sebenza umuntu ophatha umphathi kwakhe. So I was going to say Abusheni, so Deputy Minister said, it's good day. Rishi. Again. I'll say Abusheni again. Rishi. Dimatekwan. Olishakan. Dimasiari, man. Dimasiari. Program Director. Let me acknowledge my colleague, Dr. Mhaule. I want to pronounce it right. Mhaule. My colleague, the Telisufi, in his absence. Okay. Our officials from the national office led by Dr. Whittle and the entire team from his branch. Also our guests, also our partners from USAID, Mr. Krause, the ADD, Maria Price, the Terage, the district director, Metsepo, our principals that are here, our learners, SGB, but also our counselor from the area. Indeed, Program Director, it is for me an honor and it's nostalgic. I started my high school up the road here in Skanundon, just up the road. That's where I started my high school. Oh, Isupakai, kwa? Oh, kwa? That other direction. That's where I started my high school.
And the president was also at the same high school at the time, was at the high school, was a senior student there, and a leader of the Students' Christian Movement. So Atomuba leader. He was our leader already by then. So as I said, Mara, or the pointing at the school the other direction, because I drove in different directions. I started my grade 6 there. Standard 6. Huh? Grade 8. Standard 6. Okay. I won't tell you when, but half of you were not even born by the time I started my high school up the road. So I did a program director led by yourself, DM, because she leads this branch in the department. It is a privilege and honor to be part of this launch of a series of our adapted comprehensive sexuality lessons. And it is indeed a very exciting point for us, Dr. Granville and the colleagues, to be here with this program. Because indeed, and sometimes I had to try to understand what is the problem about comprehensive sexuality education, because there was really a huge outcry. And I said, maybe it's the religious thing, it's people who read the Bible will tell you, God says, go and multiply. So and you multiply through sex. And so it's so holy, it's in the Bible, that people didn't want to touch the whole question about the mandate or the command that you must go and multiply. So it's so holy that people don't want to talk about it. And I kept on asking myself, who says we could be so irresponsible with DM? I mean, DM is also Mfundisi. That we are going to really sexualize, because they were saying we're sexualizing kids. I said, I mean, honestly, what for? I mean, honestly, what for? And for me, it's a very important part of our work. And that's why I'm very grateful and appreciative, DM, of the work that you do with the team. Because it's one of the saddest things that can really happen in the work that we do. Because one of the biggest prizes, which we say we want to raise holistically developed young people. But if you're going to only focus on academic, and I always make this example, it's like really building a castle for the pigs who don't have any sense of morality, any sense of consciousness, and any sense of integrity. So for me, this is one of the key aspects, because at the end of the day, naturally, you forget everything that we might have taught you. But what remains is what we made you to be. And this, for me, it's a section that is very important. So you're really partnering us on a very key aspect of the work, because what comes out of here is a sum total of what will remain after all the facts have been forgotten, how to do your sums, your calculations, any dates that would have taught in history. What we make of these people here, it's what will come from this process. So I'm very excited that we are here as a country, that we are able to talk about this. And indeed, COVID did disrupt us, because indeed, we were on the move. And what just does not leave my mind also, it's the engagements we had with young girls who fell pregnant before time counseling. I used to talk to them because we really also had young people who fell pregnant as ambassadors to join us. And not even one of them, when I asked them to say, oh, but my child, how did we get here? At 14, 13, we have a child. None of them said to me, I was looking forward to a baby, Mama. I wanted my own doll. They never said so. They always said, I didn't know it will end up here. And we don't want our children to say, I didn't know. So we have to do whatever we can do to make sure that they know. They don't end up with tears saying, I didn't know that it will end up here. And that's important. That's the importance of this program. So I'm very appreciative of the lesson plans. The friendly can actually, it's because we also say children learn through play. So I'm glad that we had Madlala Street, so that we can actually inculcate, or we can even pass a message well. Because indeed, I was informed by the DM and her team that this drama series seeks to liberate the girl child and women from the iron of patriarchy. Let's say when patriarchy king. Let's say bakar. Ke bashimane ba iketsa ngcono ka re bona ba ngcono feta lona and tshwantse lona le thobele mthetho. Le bashimane ka mo ba le sure ba ngcono tshwantse batho ba thobele mthetho wa bona and create a very toxic environment. So it's also to liberate the bully, to liberate the bullied, and make sure that we live well together the way we're supposed to live together. It's okay. So I'm very happy that we are also in a place where we're able to sensitize both our boy children and girl children quite early about the dangers of patriarchy. Because it can be extremely dangerous to both sides. Because through patriarchy and this power that men think they have, the majority of homeless are boys, the majority of people in the streets are boys, the majority of people in drugs are boys, so that at the end of the day, the way we, I think, mis-socialize them ends up devaluing their lives. And that's what patriarchy is. And end up in a very dangerous situation. The majority of people in prison are boys, and can only be how we socialize them in a dangerous way that lends them into the danger. But also, if we look at the I have a niece who is a psychiatrist, and she says when she admits women, a certain age group, in Tanzania program direct, the first question she asks them, 80%, it's about the difficulties with dealing with men and dealing with homes and dealing with all sorts of things that affect their families. So it's also a very dangerous situation that we find ourselves because of patriarchy. And again, we should socialize them early about these dangers of patriarchy. But it's also very important for us as a government to reaffirm both genders, but also to reaffirm the girl child, so that they take their positions. And I was informed that some of the lessons here are to re-emphasize the point that no is a no. If you say no, people have to understand it as nothing else but a no. And not get into any other space which is beyond the no, because if sometimes you don't understand no as a no, there could be serious consequences. Serious consequences. What DM did not even mention program director about our other here. It's being activists in the women's struggle. I used to be the president of the Women's League. And at one stage, I said to them, you know what, let's just embark on 2 programs that we know affect women seriously. The question of rape and the question of drugs amongst our children. Just as that's the only programs that we take home. The current deputy president phoned me on a Saturday to say, we have to can that program. I've convened the meeting. We're all crying here. Half of us have been raped, or our children have been raped, and people are going into a state, which shows that even the pains of rape and having your children, they just live with people. It's a burden that they have to live with, which they don't overcome. So that, again, through this program, we have to sensitize our kids on things that they take easy. That if the effects of rape can be lifetime, that some of the people may not overcome, cancel, or anything, People should not do it because it's not helpful to anybody. But also the other thing which surprises me, DM, I still have to, maybe Dr. Grant will enlighten us, because it's not as if we know it all. I always say, how do men rape? Because rape is not about sex. There's nothing enjoyable. It's a huge risk for a life imprisonment. You could go to prison for something that you probably were not even in the process. There's a process, and if not gone through the process, you're going to end up in jail. Have we not gone through the process? And our boys have to appreciate it. And they seem not to. And I just say, but honestly, without a process, you end up facing a magistrate with the risk of having a life prison. So those are the things that I hope that through these programs, we'll be able to talk to our kids about. So I really want to appeal to our kids to say there's nothing as painful, as embarrassing for us as adults to see a child doing God's work before time. Because in theory, it's reserved for adults. It's not rahan, it's coming. You do it until you can't do it anymore. Again. So don't rush it. Again, Ori. So I'm really happy that this program gives us a chance. This program gives us a chance to talk. Let's talk about these things because the consequences are dire. Teenage pregnancy, it's a big problem for young. It's a big problem. Talk about it. I don't want next time when I meet you to say, "How my child, how did we come here?" And you say, "Mama, we didn't know. If I knew, I would not have gone this way." I don't want you to say, "If I knew." Let's deal with it. Let's help you know. Not that we're saying go. Because they said we're and it's many religious groups. That's why I link it to the Bible. That so these things are not spoken about. And I said to them, but the kids who fell pregnant, we never sent them. We have not spoken. We're just saying they shouldn't go the direction. They should understand their bodies. They should understand the pressures that are brought to them. And they should know the consequences without scaring them. But they should know what the consequences are, and they should know. So I'm really happy. I'm very grateful to the USAID for partnering us in this program. For us, it's a very important program. It's a department, it's a country. We really want our girl children to grow up understanding their bodies, their conducts, their behavior. But I'm also happy that we have linked it, Chief Director, to our life skills, because these things are limited about bullying. Because girls get bullied into sex, the other way around. I once said so to a doctor, says, these girls can also bully you. Monga deliver back here, so they can also bully you into action. So that we don't bully each other around these issues. So this drama series of Life at Madlala, for us, it's a last-ditch effort to scale up our prevention message through the medium of radio. Because rightfully, or not rightfully, understandably, when children fall pregnant, the first thing is, what is education doing? And I appreciate that we have an opportunity to teach our kids, and that's why people ask us, what are we doing? Sometimes I got cheeky, and I just understood when parents were angry with me in Northern Cape, when they say teenage pregnancy, and we're really throwing their hands up and said, but these kids, I should be asking you, why do you send pregnant children to schools? Because they probably fell pregnant in your homes. But that's not the issue now. The issue is that ourselves and parents have to make whatever efforts we can to enlighten and educate our kids about sexuality and all related matters. Because in simple language, our job is to protect the most vulnerable in our society, women and girls, but boys equally. So this doctor said to me, but he says when he was doing medicine, he never kept a girlfriend because these girls felt that he's not delivering and they left him. So that no one bullies one into any other action. But also it's to enlighten and educate us, our kids, about being trapped in abusive relationships. Because it's one of our problems. Especially because by understanding, they saw us understanding. So they think love is about understanding, and therefore sometimes really giving up to abuse. So we really want them to really understand and appreciate the fact that they don't have to stay in abusive relationships. We also want, as I say, what excites me about this program is to enable us as a sector to deal with the scourge of unintended and unplanned pregnancies among school children. Because as I said, not even one child who fell pregnant, when I asked them to say, how did we get there? It says, hi, Mama, I was looking forward. I really like children. I wanted something to play with. They never said so. They say, if I knew, I would not have been here. So we really do want to make sure that we can deal with these unintended pregnancies. We also have to deal with questions of self-worth. But my boyfriend should our smart fan to examine, muscle examine, it's all things that are related that I hope that we'll be able to do. And we have to do everything in our power to protect our children from abuse, from men in fancy suits. Who just have no moral rectitude. As a society, all of us, and I'm glad that the media is, we have to work together on this one. But in the raising of our children and protecting them, I think we can have a common agenda. Because these unplanned and unintended pregnancies have have really serious consequences for children. To my girls, I always say I have boys in the house, so I don't want a girl kilometerokisa tremo esafike emzini senze hakamatorokisa ayi-3 la endlini yami asikho ispace mos fanele baqale kahle one by one angazi kuhaka amatorokisi la ne sahaka liya 3 So we have to, it has long-term consequences, and we want to, my girls, let's have malili bantle. Di fitlhe mo ntlong tsa batho di le one, akere ba nke di le one. Or ska tla so na le tlhaloso. Each time you meet a boyfriend, you have to hey, nomtali because how sa bui ba re wa pata. So o tsamaya o tlhalosa all the time, and maybe o mongwe wa iphetela o tlhalosetsa motho o fetang ka tsela. Maybe ni be ngazohlala. So when we tlhalosa all the way. So I really want to close, Chair, by saying again, we want to thank our partner. I want to thank our officials, but I also want to thank our teachers. Nabefundis to say, especially teachers, we're not sexualizing kids, we're educating them about something which is there. We want them to understand their bodies and what their bodies actually sometimes tell them, and get them to understand every action that they take, so that at the end of the day, they shouldn't say, if I knew. They must have been guided, educated, and supported. So I had my program director and my chief director, soliciting more support. So if you have more support for us, we don't mind it. So because we have to translate in other languages. We really humbly appreciate what you've done for us. We don't take it for granted. We just think it's highly valuable. And I think my colleagues from provinces will attest to that it goes a long way. And sometimes it helps even as government when we have partners from outside, we say, bring a fresh perspective, which is not a perspective that we always have. So it brings a different energy that we normally have when we run around schools, because normally on issues like this of care, I prefer sometimes not to be the one speaking because these kids are tired of our voices. We teach them English, history, what the next, it's the same voices which tell them, look after yourself. So they need a different voice. They need a different perspective. So partnerships in such programs led by Chief Director Kokeka and Chief Director Patricia benefit a lot from support. Okay. So I really want to thank you sincerely, but thank you very much, Dr. Grenville, for the leadership as the DM saying. But it is a program that is led by our Deputy Minister, and thank you very much, colleague, for really guiding this ship because we really want the best for our children. Okay, let's suit again. But they can speak Zonga, Venda, Sotho, Zulu. Agere language. Or language we say. Or rale rata agere. We wish the best for you, Banabar. Rabatlalo hole and be the best that you can be. Agere. We don't want anything to happen to you on the way and then say, if we knew. So, Ingomo, a program director, against Kelebo.
Thank you very much, Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, the first episode of Life on Madlala Street played today. The next 5 lessons are going to be playing on the 15th and the 22nd of February and the 1st of March and the 8th of March in 22 community radio stations. So we want you to go listen to them. We are hoping that the lessons are going to be listened to by parents as well. And our parents can have conversations with you as learners. Also, you can come back after listening to the drama series and have a conversation in the classroom. Minister, I'm going to call 3 learners that are going to give us reflections, and each learner will have a question for our panel. The learners are Nkanso Chauke, Fumanani Matebula, and Klihovo Mboweni. Can you please come on stage? Mr. Likopotomane and Mboni. Likopotomane, can you please come to the stage? Okay, so we are going to start our session on the reflections. I'm going to give each and every one of you a few minutes to state your reflection, and then you'll ask your question. Who's starting? Okay, you ready? You can start.
Minister, have you experienced bullying whilst you were young or even now? And what kind of bullying?
No, I was. I was very, I can imagine, I can mention so many things that I was bullied around. The funniest one, program director, I grew up in a township in Pimville. It was a squatter camp, almost. But my grandmother had shops and I think had money. So she used to get us washed, put white socks and ribbons, and it really made our lives so miserable. So we couldn't go to the streets with shoes because everybody didn't have shoes. So we had to take your shoes off, we had to remove those ribbons, and it made our lives, we were really bullied at school. People would take things, they'll take our lunches. And it was not easy. And the other thing, when I was in high school here, because my mother was a teacher, she dragged me along to school very early. I can tell you I matriculated at 17. So imagine that I started schooling at 14. So I used to be the youngest, amongst the youngest in class, and I really was bullied. So I grew up bullied most of my life.
Mama Angie, as the Minister of Basic Education, how do you handle the cyberbullying?
No, you won't believe us. We are still bullied even now. That's even worse for us as politicians. That's why I'm not on any platform. I don't do WhatsApp. I don't do, because that's where you really expose yourself to be bullied by people. Sometimes they're robots. You don't even know who's this person who's insulting you. But sometimes we really, in our positions, people have our numbers. Anything goes wrong, they'll go onto your phone. Now, as I say, I was telling colleagues that insults are being so, because people want tenders, want all sorts of things. When is admissions were being insulted. So there's also lots of cyberbullying. So for me, the solution is no news are good news. So I'm not on social platforms. I don't take calls I don't know, because I'm going to be insulted and bullied, because it's very commonplace. If you want to talk to me, you send an SMS so I can screen it. So we are being bullied, so it's to run away from it for me. So the solution for me is to run away from the social media and all those platforms that expose you to being bullied and insulted.
Minister, as we are learners, what can we do to not find ourselves bystanders?
Okay, what can we do? Bystanders. Yeah, no, you shouldn't actually. Sometimes you fear the bully and you can't intervene, otherwise it's going to turn to you. So it's not easy sometimes not to be the big one and step in. But one is to support the one who's being bullied and advise them on what to do. Tell your teacher, tell your parent, and just be that word of support. Sometimes, as I say, victims, they have ways which they can protect themselves to say, get out of these social platforms. That's where you have a problem. So you can advise, you can guide. And if you don't fear the bully, you can call the bully to order to say, this is wrong. But bullies are very violent and aggressive. It can turn to you. So I don't say half the time play hero. Find ways of supporting the victim, advising the victim, and making sure that you are also safe, because bullies are very, they used to beat me up when I was a child and take food. And I know that they can be very aggressive. So you must also be careful about how you support the person, but you have to support. And you can even tell the teacher to say, you know, teacher, so-and-so, every time when it's break, they take her lunch. Or so-and-so is being insulted because she looks different. Or so-and-so. So you can even tell the teacher on behalf of the victim, because the victim may not want to report. But advise the victim, if you can, call on the bullied. Just tell them if you ungayimela. If you want to say now. Angathi ungayiqali izokuxaka now. Fanele uthi ukuthi but ayikho right. Right? So it's to really provide support, guidance, and if you can, tell the bully to stop from a distance again, sometimes.
Thank you very much, Minister, for responding to those questions. I've got my follow-up questions. DM, this question is for you. What would you tell a child who is being bullied?
Thank you. I'm so fortunate that we listened to that lesson script. I'm coping from that lesson. Don't keep quiet. That is the solution. Because other learners, Minister, they keep quiet when they are bullied. And they become angry, they come home, they lock themselves in the room until they see where Papa has put a gun to say, now I'm going to pay a revenge. They take Papa's gun and they shoot at those who are bullying that learner. And we judge and say, the learner who is a victim, who took a knife at home to come and pay a revenge, is the bully, yet is the one who was bullied. So don't keep quiet. Tell a friend. If there's a friend that you trust, talk to that friend or tell your teacher. If the teacher does not give it them care, you tell the principal. You report at home. At home, they must know that you are being bullied. And parents must listen to the children when they report, because other parents will just say, hey, you are afraid of your peers. Go, fight if they fight you. And the child end up hanging him or herself. Thank you.
My next question, Mr. Liko Botoman. Mr. Liko Botomane is leading the anti-bullying campaign for the Department of Basic Education. Liko is part of our branch. So Liko, while you are leading the anti-bullying campaign for the department, were you ever bullied when you were at school?
Thank you for that question. Yes, like minister, I was also like among the youngest because I went to school when I was 5. I went to varsity when I was 16. So I was always the youngest person in my group. And so when my peers wanted to pick on anyone, I was the easiest person to pick on because I was young and I also have a faint voice, you see, as you can hear. So it's very difficult to work out whether it's a girl's voice or it's a boy's voice. So all of those things made me susceptible to bullying at school. But most of the time when my peers bullied me at school, I did not realize that I was being bullied. I only realized later because I thought they were playing. I thought they were playing rough. And so probably you are also getting bullied, but you're uncomfortable because your friends are playing with you and they're playing rough and you think they're playing rough, but actually you're being bullied. So I hope that from listening to the lesson that you've heard today, you'll be able to look back again and see and judge and assess for yourself whether you are being bullied or they're playing, you see? So that you pick it up very early so that you are then able to find help, like what Minister and Deputy Ministers have already said, to say you must look for help, you must report, because they're not playing. Play is not supposed to be uncomfortable.
Thank you very much, Liko. My next question goes to Maria. You've heard us today in the opening remarks of the Deputy Minister, in the Minister's speech. You listened to the lesson. We are faced with gender-based violence in South Africa. We are faced with bullying in our schools. So what we want to know from you, with the experiences in the US schools, do they also experience the challenges around bullying?
Thank you for the question, and the answer is yes. And for the biblical scholars that are among us today, you know that we are taught to first address our issues at home. And so the same love that we bring to the people of South Africa is the same love that we extend at home, and trying to make sure that we have programs and access to opportunities to teach and inform. And so some of the things, same things that we talked about today, we talk about back at home in Washington and in the US. And so we do this, we have a comprehensive approach. And so we have these conversations in the schools, we have these conversations in the churches and in the mosque and in the faith-based organizations. We have these conversations in the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts. we have these conversations in the little league, in the sports arena, and we have them. We try to take advantage of every opportunity that's before us to educate, because we know that the messages need to be reinforced. And so, I'm really excited to see not just the learners, our future leaders, but also the parents, because as we cascade this information out through the school system, we also invite and treat, encourage our parents to reinforce it at home so that it cascades from school to home and out into the community. So the answer to the question is yes, and we're all tackling this together, and that's why we work in partnership. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria, for that response. So, ladies and gentlemen, there we have it. Live on Madlala Street, audio lessons are launched today by the minister. They've been handed over by the USAID team, so are now a product of the Department of Basic Education. They were first played in Hitekani Primary School on the 8th of February 2022. I'm now going to call upon Mr. Masha, our councillor, to give us a vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. No, thank you for that, kids. Greetings to our minister, and thank you very much for gracing us with your presence. One has to wonder that when you obtained your tertiary qualifications, some of us were still in heaven's playground. God was still deciding whether to give me 1 or 2 dimples. Luckily, I got 2. I'd like to greet and thank our Deputy Minister, Dr. Regina. I'd like to thank the Program Director for engaging us and conducting this program today. I'd like to thank the Chief Director for your input on today's program. Thank you very much. Mr. Nolin Ziwayo, thank you very much, sir, for handling your segment. It shows that our kids are in very safe hands in the school. And I think we can all agree and attest to that. Mr. Andy Karras, the USAID Mission Director, thank you very much. Ms. Maria from the USAID, the Deputy Administrator, I'd also like to thank you for gracing us with your presence. You know, if I didn't have a constituency to lead, I'd be in one of your luggages back to DC. To all the media houses and Josie FM, thank you very much for coming today and making sure that this initiative is broadcasted and changes the lives of our kids. You know, not forgetting the principal of the school, Mr. Ngoweni. I can't tap up. Chairperson of the SGP, he's sitting right next to our principal. Thank you very much, sir. Lastly, I'd like to thank the parents, the community, and the learners. And we hope that this has been an educational experience and a pathway to a better education and building the community of Ward 11. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Councillor. So, ladies and gentlemen, our program is done for today. And again, as the minister had indicated, we thank the people of America for the generous support for our programs, especially our adolescent girls and young women programs. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to remain seated in your seats while I usher my visitors out as led by the minister. And I'm going to request the people that briefed the minister this morning to follow that delegation, and we go back to the room that the briefing took place. Thank you very much, my learners, for being such a wonderful audience. You need to clap for yourselves, and we will see you again